Wow. Hello beautiful person, welcome back to the channel. My name is Shu. In today's video we're going to be covering mixing and everything you need to do in order to get your mix to be balanced, loud, and have that punch to it. So you guys blew that light goal out of the water for Melodies episode 1. There will be episode 2 coming. Also, there is a melody making full guide coming as well, so don't even worry about that. Golf claps, clap it up for the entire dope fan because y'all ate. Simply put, y'all ate. I was not familiar with y'all's game. I put it in that community post. Hey, forgive me. I was not familiar with y'all's game, but y'all surprised me. Keep on surprising me. So what I'm gonna say for this video, light goal. Let's see if y'all can run it back. 200. I'm gonna still give you a week. Y'all hit almost 500 in 2 days, bro, on that melody video. So let's see if y'all could at least run this back. I'm gonna give you a week, 200 likes on this video. I'm gonna run back another full guide. I'll put up a poll again. It'll be like probably like marketing, beat structuring, unmasking, which is a deeper mixing concept, drum programming, and there'll be like a couple other things like mastering. There'll be a couple other things that we could maybe cover. We'll do like a whole full guide. Marketing might be a video essay, so we might take that out of there. But that being said, I will give you guys another whole full guide. I'm gonna keep feeding the fam. 200 likes, I'm gonna get it ready, I'm gonna cook it, it'll be good to go. It doesn't get 200 likes in a week, which should be easy money for y'all, then I'm gonna hold off. It means that y'all don't want it. I'm gonna hold off. We gonna just do like cookups and other stuff. We'll still be going crazy with the streams. We gonna be going up, but let's see if y'all can run it back. Let's see how badly y'all want like all of this content stuff to keep going. But definitely don't even worry about the melody full guide. Y'all already got that mug. It's coming. Don't worry about that. Melodies episode 2, that's coming. It's gonna have its own light goal for y'all to unlock. Episode 3, don't even worry about that. But if y'all want even more full guides outside of that, 200 likes on this video in a week should be easy money. Y'all already showed me. Y'all spoiled me. I'm spoiled now. Don't play with me no more. You know what I'm saying? Let's get that 200 in a week. But other than that, again, we're going to be covering loudness, balance, and punch today in this video. Do drop a comment if you have any questions down below. I will be happy to answer you. But again, just sit back, enjoy, take notes if you have to. But again, it's not going to be one of those things where we're nerding out about like the technical concepts. This is going to be more of a workflow demonstration. But without too much more, let's get into it. Right, we're recording. Excellent. All right, so I think the best place to start first and foremost is with like actually hearing the beat. So let's just run like an 8-bar section of this real quick. Yeah, I'm in the trap, hold up, bitch, run it back, yeah, I'm sipping on that, yeah, she looking at act, yuck, sip on that act, yeah, I'm on her back, yeah, I get the stack, yeah, it is racks, yeah, no, this is hard though, but look, it sounds phenomenal. So I think the first thing that we want to start with in terms of like my mixing workflow, and again, this is more workflow than like talking about nerdy stuff. And so we want to start with the topic of loudness, right? And the first and foremost thing with loudness for me is throwing on some kind of clipper or limiter on the master. For me personally, it's always going to be a limiter. So first let's toss it on and then we could talk about it, right? So here's what it was sounding like. No clipper, no limiter. Just knocking off the good sound selection and excellent programming. But now take a listen. That extra punch and that extra kind of like clip and crunch that it gives to the beat, that's just what comes with brick wall limiting and clipping. Because simply put, clipping and brick wall limiting is the sound of modern music. So if you're not doing it, you're just not going to get that punch. You're not going to get that extra loudness. I don't want to nerd out about why that is. It just is the way that it is, right? Furthermore, we will be mixing quote unquote loud. The levels will be relatively loud because for one, that's how you get that extra punch. That's how you get that loudness. That's how you get that kind of like clean modern sound. But also if the artist needed it to be lower for some reason, they can always just turn it down later with the dry stems, right? Like if you want the beat to hit, you're going to need to level it loud to some degree. Cause I already know there's going to be that one guy talking about, it's actually crazy that you're leveling the 808 at -3 to -6 decibels because ain't no one trying to hear all of that, bro. For real. Go away. Ain't no one trying to hear that. Like if you're looking for tips and tricks on how to make your beat hit as soft as a pillow, this ain't the video for you. Take that nonsense and go somewhere else. But that brings us into talking about balance, which is mostly centered around the concept of like leveling everything in your beat. So we're going to select all of the stuff in our channel rack and multi-route it using Command plus Shift plus L in the mixer so that we can solo everything and talk about the first aspect of balance for me, which is making sure that your melody doesn't sound dry, which is going to help you your beat sound more lush and not sound so bare bones. It's really goes a long way towards helping with that. So first, we take a listen to the beat, which is really just the melody playing at this point. EQ is always going to be something you want to use just because you're going to want to equalize out some of the low end so that it's not clashing with the bass when you bring it in later. The 808 and kicks and things of that nature is really, really helpful. It's subtle, but it's helpful. I've noticed like people have fallen out of practice of doing that. It's an important thing to actually do. There will be sections of your beat sometimes where you don't want this EQ because there's no bass going, or it makes sense to have those bass frequencies from the melody. You can always just automate this out using an automation clip, but for the most part, this is like standard basic practice. You're going to want to do this. Then from there, use delay, nothing complicated. You want to know what I've been using my entire career? Fruity Delay 2 with the widen preset. Beautiful. It's nice, it's lush, it sounds great. And then from there, it's just about adding some reverb. You want to find the kind of right reverb room setting for you, but I found that this cathedral preset works really well for me pretty much every time that I'm doing any kind of melody. It's nothing complicated. It's about adding like wetness to the melody basically, so that when we do get into leveling, I don't have to add this later and it's already sounding the way it's going to sound when it's like nice and full and done and the track is finished. So that's with the effects. No effects. It still sounds nice, but it's so dry, right? And there's like a lot of space left. Turn that on, it sounds beautiful. And then there's no like delay and reverb on the low end. That's the added bonus of putting this EQ. And then if you want to do the good old EQ sandwich technique, you can toss on another EQ on the top, EQ out some of those extra bass artifacts that come back in because of the reverb and delay. You can have a really nice, clean sounding effects chain going on your melody. You can even tame some of the other frequencies if you would like. Just something really quickly, because I know I didn't show it, but this effects chain for the clipper is literally just the Fruity Soft clipper with the basic like standard settings. It's literally just loaded in a Fruity Soft clipper and you're good to go. I have it as a patcher chain because I have this VCA gain tool that I can use to push gain into my clipper for extra loudness during the more like mastering phase of things, which we will talk about a little bit later on. I realized I didn't show that and I wanted to make sure I did show that to show you it's nothing too complicated. Something else I really like to do is use Radiator to add like more color to my melodies and some various sounds, but specifically I've been liking to do it with my melodies lately, and the way I'll do it is actually by loading everything that I'm going to use with Radiator into Patcher. So I'll open Radiator and then I'll open 2 more instances of this gain tool. Actually, it's a really helpful tool and you'll see how I use it right now. So we go gain tool into Radiator, into another gain tool into Radiator. And so I'll come into Radiator and I'll kind of like set everything the way I want to. I'll go full mix because I want like the full effect. And just so you know what Radiator is doing, it's basically an equalizer that uses like insane amounts of decibel gain pushes to cause saturation, which causes harmonic artifacts in whatever sound that you're putting it on, which kind of adds color to the melody, or you know, whatever sound you're adding it to. Don't worry too much about what it's doing. It's basically a saturator and it saturates by using equalization. Reading your VST manuals is very, very helpful for actually knowing what they do so you can use them properly. But that's all you basically need to do, because this bass knob is just a low shelf on the bass and this treble is just a shelf on the treble, basically on the high end frequencies. So I'm going to use this to boost some of the high end frequencies on that melody. But what this VCA meter does, what this VU meter does is tell me how much it's getting pushed into the VST right now, or into the plugin. And usually you want to have it hit around that 0 on VU meters. So what I like to do to compensate, because I have the color that I want, but it's too much gain push, so I'll pull gain out of it coming into Radiator until I get it hitting around like that 0, or like an average of 0 or something like that. Nice. And then I can even go a little bit more treble, maybe a little bit more bass too, a little bit more output. Turn off the noise. About on average, it's like sitting at that 0. It's okay if it peaks over and stuff like that. It doesn't have to sit like right at 0, at least the way I use it. Now from there, you can add that gain back in without having to deal with that added saturation that Radiator gives it. Now you're just getting that color and you're literally just increasing the volume of that affected sound. I love this chain so much, bro, and it just adds so much like lushness to your melodies. It gives it so much more power and so much more presence, and it's going to be really important for this next thing we talk about in a second. You'll see why. Melody is one of those things that has to be present without being so overpowering to like your big drums and stuff. It's such a difference maker. Effects, no effects. Effects, so good, bro. Okay. So now we can actually talk about leveling everything, because this is pretty much for the most part straightforward. The only thing that we're going to be putting like a lot of effects on, you could put effects on anything, right? But like, we're not really here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about how to just get like a really punchy, clean mix with a straightforward workflow, right? So now we're getting into talking about leveling, and the act of leveling, at least in my workflow, is literally just having everything set at a certain level so that they relate well to everything else. But in order to do that, you need really good anchor points. And the way I've learned to set really good anchor points is with the concept of the big three. And that is, from top to bottom, the loudest thing in your mix is going to be the low end. Then the next loudest thing is going to be your main snare. Then the next loudest or most present thing is going to be your melody. And then from there, you level everything else in that's going on in your beat to kind of complement and support and relate well to those big three elements without overpowering them. So the big three are like your first levels. It's your first set of relationships, because that low end has got to be the loudest, then the main snare, then the melody, but they're also your anchor points. So let's get into doing that. So first, we'll set up that kick. It's a dog barking out there tweaking. Bro, shut up. What the dog do? And so here's a perfect example of kind of like what I was talking about in terms of like needing to level loud. Me pushing this kick way past that 0 is more of a sound design decision than anything, because if I have it hitting even at 0, for example, it's not going to have that sound that I really want it to. Although now that I have it hitting kind of at that 0, I kind of like that. And then what we can do actually is level everything else at that anchor point and then push gain into it later using the VCA tool into the clipper. So let's actually do that, because I kind of like that punch that it has. And then we can always add it back using that VCA tool, but I still want it to be a little bit over 0, because it just kind of has that kind of like distortion due to it going over the clipper that you won't get if it's not going over the clipper. That's just a personal thing, right? Then we start bringing in the low end elements. So I have 4 low end elements, but we'll only deal with 3 of them for right now. I've got this bass pluck first. These are going to be lower than the kick, probably between -3 and -6. Next is this 808. Then there's one more 808 right here. Okay, cool. So we've got our low end completely sorted now. Now we're going to bring in that main snare, which for me, it's a clap this time. So we're going to bring this in. I believe it's this. I think like right around -5 or -6 will be good. That's clean, bro. And then just level in the melody, which already has all the effects on. So all we got to do is just level it in based on all the loudness that's added or taken away due to the effects. We just got to level it in. Don't be scared to go a little bit loud with it either. It's supposed to be present. And again, this low end EQ right here is going to be unmasking or equalizing out those frequencies from the melody that would be clashing with that 808. Same thing with this one that's at the bottom. All that's doing is removing those frequencies. Even the low shelf on Radiator, which is pulled down a little bit, is equalizing some of those frequencies, those lower frequencies, out of the way so that the bass, the 808s, can really shine the way they need to. And we might as well just do the bass right now too. So let's turn that off really quickly. Make sure it relates well to the kick. Bring that clap back in. Melody, sounding excellent. So let's go back to the 808s. And then from here, you're leveling everything else in, keeping in mind that you want them to be loud, especially your perks, because they drive the bounce of the beat, but at the same time, they shouldn't really overpower your big three. So let me just kind of talk you through how that works for me, because it's more of an intuitive thing than anything that can be technically explained without like a demonstration, basically. Like if I'm doing it, I can talk you through it, but there's not really a good way for me to articulate the technicality of it, because it's something you literally have to practically apply. It also changes from case to case. So let me just talk you through how I would do it in this specific case right here. Next, I would go to the snares, right? So gonna be decently loud because it is a snare, but I don't want it to be overpowering that main clap, right? But this snare is driving bounce, so I want it to be loud. Yeah, like right there. Like the loudest it goes is like 6. I might even push the clap a little bit louder. Yeah, because my 808s and bass pluck are actually pretty loud. This one's the only one that's kind of quiet. I'm about to push that one up a little bit. Yeah, definitely. There we go. And then this accent clap, same deal, because it's like a snare clap type of thing. Want it to be loud, it's gonna drive that bounce, but see, that's way too loud right there. -3. Even that -6, maybe like -7 or -8. Yeah, give it a little bit of pan just to give it some stereo width. Maybe even turn the stereo up a little bit. Yeah. And then from there, it's the hats. Really, that's all that's left. And it's just hats and triangle for this beat in terms of like those top line percussives. And these are gonna be like the most quiet thing in this mix technically. Again, but you don't want them to be so quiet that they're like basically not there. But at the same time, they shouldn't really be overpowering anything else that we've mixed in so far. So let's go ahead and start with that hat, which it was already leveled pretty nicely. It wasn't too loud to begin with. I'll also pan this just a little bit to break up its monotony, its literal monotony. I think right there, that -12 is perfect. Same deal here, break up that monotony just a little bit. And this triangle, I do want it to be more felt than heard, particularly for this perk, so it's gonna be kind of low compared to everything else. It's gonna be definitely the lowest thing by decibel. I think right there is good. That's already knocking crazy, bro. Okay, so that pretty much covers everything in terms of balance. From here, you pretty much have a very balanced mix. You can go ahead and arrange it, tag it, export it, you're good to go. You don't really have to do anything extra, but if you want to take it that extra kind of step, I would advise you to focus on the aspect of punch, which is like the last kind of fundament of my mixing philosophy. And there's a lot of stuff we could talk about regarding that. There's a lot of extra unmasking, equalization concepts. There's a lot of, it's mostly based around equalization. There's some limiting, there's some extra clipping that you could do, but I think none of that will be as useful as talking to you about two things in particular. One kind of like limiting clipping aspect or concept, and then one equalization concept. We'll just cover one of each today. So the first limiting or clipping concept that you've probably already heard of before is sidechaining. So I'm going to just talk you through how I do sidechaining explicitly, because I don't think I've ever done it like this before. Literally, this is just a full demonstration walkthrough right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that all my like my bass instruments are kind of next to each other, and then I'm going to create a track where they're all routed to one place, because what I'm going to do is sidechain the kick and probably the main clap as well to everything that is like a bass or an 808 basically. So you'll see that happen in real time right now. So we'll route to this track only. Boom. Phenomenal, right? And what I'll do is I'll do a similar thing with my big drums. I'll bring these over and I'll route them to here only, and we'll name these big drums, and we'll name this like low end, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set a limiter on the low end, right? And we're gonna set the big drums to sidechain to this track. Then we're gonna go to this limiter, and we're gonna go to the compressor setting on the limiter, and then we're gonna right click big drums. That way it's going to accept it as a signal that controls the gain or compression of whatever this is placed on, which would be all of the low ends, because we've composited into one track. So from there, we set our threshold, and then we begin to set our ratio, which is actually going to be what triggers the compression. Something between 1 and 2 usually works really well for me in sidechaining in general, but particularly on 808s, right? Now, there are a lot of things that actually affect the shape and rhythm of the sidechain kind of like dip. One of them is the size of your kick, and that's why I really like using the rat kick a lot, is because it has this kind of transient that really makes a nice effect when you sidechain it. But you can use any kick. Like I'm using a significantly thicker kick than the rat kick. And another thing that can control the way that it shapes out the sound that it's sidechaining is literally by setting your release, because no matter what, the release is really what controls how long that dip happens on the sidechain. And a really effective way to set that is actually by taking the amount of milliseconds in a minute, dividing it by your tempo, and then dividing it by like whatever note length you want your sidechain to be. So that's why if you've ever seen me do it on stream or in a tutorial without me explaining it, that's what I'm doing. So we'll do 60,000 milliseconds, because that's how many milliseconds are in a minute, because there's 1,000 milliseconds for every second, and then you just multiply that by 60, divided by our tempo, which will be 118, divided by 4 because I want to do it for quarter notes, but we could divide it by 8 for eighth notes, or we could divide it by 2 for half notes. It just depends on what you want to do. quarter notes seem to work really well for me. And in general, when I'm doing a hip hop track, quarter notes seem to be very effective. So what is 60,000 divided by 118 divided by 4?
It's approximately 127.1186.
So we're going to aim for a release of 127 or 128, something in between both of those numbers. And you can see your release being set right here in the console. Yeah, you can even hear it getting tighter and more punchy as we decrease that. And that allows you to give a bigger dip because it's not so pronounced in terms of its tail end length. And it's more impactful because of that now. Let's see how it sounds with the bass. That's so clean, bro. But you could also do it to like other instruments as well to give your beat kind of like that added punch. And a side chaining is one of those things that's more of a sound design concept than like a very like technical mixing concept. There's a lot of technical reasons you'd want to do it in mixing to get things to kind of shine over something else, to get like a particular instrument out of the way of another instrument. But to an extent, it's also very much so like a sound design choice. And especially when I'm using it on my melodies or anything basically that's not low end, it more so becomes a sound design thing at that point because it's kind of giving it that kind of like bounce and that ebb and flow that I really just want to insert in my track. You know, that punch, it gives it that Punchington, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go ahead and just take that limiter that we set on the low end and I'm just going to drag it over to the melody and then we'll set it. But first we have to actually sidechain the kick again to the melody. So we'll sidechain to this track, make sure that it's set on the limiter. Yep. And then let's take a listen. Okay, it's a little too pronounced on the melody. So what I'm gonna do is reduce the ratio so there's not so much gain reduction per hit on the kick. And I'm also gonna bring up the threshold so there's not as deep of a dip. I want it to be kind of subtle. And even on the 808s and the bass right now, I might like reduce the ratio just a little bit. Yeah, that's clean. Bring that triangle down a little bit. Turn that melody up just a little bit. And we could even do it on like our top line as well. That's another really dope place that you can apply sidechaining to. So I'm gonna route all of these to their own track. We'll call it top line, right? They're all routed perfectly. All we gotta do is take that limiter, boom, drag it over, copy it, make sure the kick is sidechained to the top line composite track, and then make sure it's set. Yep. And then we just set our release and ratio how we want to, because I mean our threshold and our ratio how we want to, because our release is already set based off the tempo. If we wanted it to be more of like a quarter note for the hi-hats, which actually I might want to. So what is 127 divided by 2? 100, it's 50, it's 60, I don't know, bro.
Stupid.
They're not.
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
You stupid.
What's 128 divided by 2?
It's 64.
64, Jesus Christ. And then we can make the threshold a little deeper. Yeah. Ooh. No, this is dirty, bro. This mix is so clean and balanced, bro. Okay, so the last little kind of like punch concept that I want to talk to you about is just basic equalization, basically, but it's equalization on the master chain. Now, the way I do this is by opening up a neutron equalizer on the master, and I'll label it master because I use another plugin called tonal balance to basically set the way that I'm going to use the equalizer. And the thing about isotope plugins is that they can all read each other. So as long as I label it correctly, I always know like what equalizer is doing what, and we only have one neutron equalizer open anyway right now, so it wouldn't have really mattered. But if you've got like 30 of them open, like I do in some sessions, it really helps to label them so you know what's happening if you open something like tonal balance, or you open a full neutron console where like it basically displays all of them, but it'll just say like EQ1, EQ2, EQ3, and it's like really confusing. So if you label them, that could be really helpful. Pro tip if you do use the isotope plugins. And so what you do is you set it to fine, and I like to really like equalize based on this bass heavy setting, which is like something akin to like a Wonder Girl song or a Travis Scott song, or basically anything that's like really popular in hip hop, right? And I've done this in a couple of videos in the past, and something some absolute dweebs have said goes something like this. Well, actually your beat doesn't have any vocals on it, so you're actually equalizing into the space of the vocals because Look, bro, nobody's trying to hear that for one, because this is going to make your beat sonically appealing. I've been doing this forever. It really adds that shine and that polish and frequencies where people are expecting it, for one. For two, if the engineer wants to, they can just use the dry stems if they really feel like you equalized it all to hell on the master. If you really did it in a way that makes the beat not sound good, they can just use the dry stems if it really becomes an issue in the mixing or mastering phase. It's never been that serious for me, which brings me to my last point. I have literally never had anyone complain that I did this, artist or engineer, but funny enough, I've had thousands, literally thousands of people who I actually work with, artists, engineers, and labels, compliment the sound of my beat, and I know that it's specifically because I do this. So anyone who's being a nerd about it, go be a nerd somewhere else, bro. Go be a nerd somewhere else, bro. Shh, shh. Like that Lucky meme. Shh. Gotta be quiet, bro. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably saying that to absolutely nobody, because nobody like that has made it this far into the video. Although I really didn't give y'all's credit in the last video. So many people understood the mission. If you were seeing a lot of thunderbolts on that last video and you don't know why, don't worry about it. Just know that the real ones understand why they was doing that. So if you got this far in this video, I'll tell you what, bro. Just say what's up. Be like, what's up, Chew, or what's good. You know what I'm saying? Just tell me what's up. I'm gonna say what's up to you back in the comments. I promise you. Just let me know you got this far in the video, because this is really a gem. This really will make your stuff sound good, especially if you already have a very balanced mix. Also, drop a like if you want another full guide on another topic. I probably said that in the intro already, but drop that like on the video. I wasn't really saying it in this video too much. Drop a like though. But anyway, all that yap aside, let's get into equalizing this beat. So it's already pretty balanced. I'm noticing that those hi-hats are causing a lot of resonance right around that 6,000. So instead of equalizing it right here with the master, I'm actually just gonna open a neutron on the hi-hats. I'm gonna name it top line. Then I'm gonna come back into tonal balance, and that's where I'm gonna start my equalization so that I can get balance. There we go. And that'll help a little bit, because that's really what was the main contributor to that. And then we'll come back to the master. And I think something around 2100 will really help bring some lush color to that mid-range. And same thing around here. It's usually about 2100 and 500 for me. It's really nice. It's so nice. It's such a subtle thing, dude. Add some top end. We have some space. We can afford it. Oh, that's lush, bro. That's lush. Bypass test that real quick. Oh, that's night and day, bro. Okay, one more thing, bro. One more thing. Hey, drop a like on the video, bro. This is another gem. This is another gem. All right. So I like to use DP meter as kind of like my LUFS meter. LOL, I'm stuttering way too much. Hey, lock in. I like to use DP meter as my LUFS meter. It's free. You can download it like literally on the internet right now, right? And what I like to do is sync it and then go to this EBU, which is going to give you the LUFS display. And I don't really care about like any specific industry standard LUFS setting. I don't care what anyone told you in a tutorial. Like, I don't care what anyone's ever said. Like, it doesn't matter, bro. It's whatever. If you can get it to -1, that would be insane. I know it would sound obliterated because that's just how sound works, but also you could have it be super quiet too. It doesn't really matter. What I like and what I've noticed a lot, particularly in like R&B, hip hop, which is what I work in the most, but even like other genres, they get pretty loud. EDM gets to be extremely loud, like -6 or -5, which I would not recommend for every hip hop track, but even hip hop tracks can go as loud as -4, -5, -6. If you look on tunebat.com and you read the loudness from track to track, you will see that they're pretty loud. For a beat that I am doing from start to finish that I mix and also quote unquote master, I think anything between like -6.5 and like -9 is like pretty solid. If I can get it around like -8 or -7 without any obliteration, that's what I really want to go towards. And so right now I see that it's like around 11, 10. Like between 10 and 11, it's trying to reach for 9, and that's where this clipper chain really comes clutch, bro. Because what we can do is literally just take the clipper, leave it as it is, and push gain into it, and that's going to increase the loudness, bro. Watch this. It's beautiful. And because the mix is so balanced and level, it's not really obliterating anything, so we can afford like multiple gains of push into that clipper. Yeah, we're already at that 8. And right there at 3, because the thing about decibels is that they're not what's the word, they're not linear, they're logarithmic. So every amount of gain is actually way more than the one amount of gain before it. So like 1 to 2 is way less than 2 to 3. It's not like a logarithmic like 1-to-1 thing that's happening from decibel to decibel. So really at 3 is where we get a lot of loudness, but not so much obliteration, which is nice. I like that, bro. I like that. One more time. Let's just test how it sounds with the bass real quick. So clean, bro. It's so clean. All right, bro, that's what I've got for you today. I really hope that you learned something valuable from this really like succinct and punctual demonstration of the mixing workflow. I hope you got a lot of value. If you have any questions, ask them down below. You know what I'm saying? I will answer them when I can. Pull up to stream, you know what I'm saying? Drop a like on this video if you want more full guides, bro, because I got some full guides planned out. We could have arranged this. If you guys drop, I'll tell you what, bro. Nah, I'm not even gonna say that, but look, just keep supporting, bro. Just keep supporting, because like here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing. I haven't even recorded the intro to this video yet, so I just hopped into this. I got motivated to do it right away. I had a few notes that I was going off of, and that was the whole video. So I don't actually know what the light goal that I'm going to say in the intro is, but whatever I said for the light goal, to get another full guide, bro, because I got a couple of full guides that I really want to do for you. It's unmasking, which is this whole like equalization concept that's gonna have your beats sounding really dope. It's gonna have you making better melodies. It's gonna have you doing better full mixes. I also got a drum programming guide. If you like the drum programming on this, I got a drum programming guide ready to go. You know what I'm saying? I got the concepts all laid out, got arrangement, got structuring, got mastering, got so many more ideas, got full guides on so many other topics. So whatever that light goal ends up being, because I don't know what it's gonna be when I record the intro. I haven't recorded the intro yet. I'm gonna keep it a band with you. Sometimes I record the intro last. It just be like that. Sometimes I don't want the intro to get in the way of what I'm doing in the actual content. So whatever that light goal was, bro, I need you to hit it, because y'all blew that other light goal out of the water. I said 200 in a week, and that mug is like well on its way to 500 right now. Don't play with me, bro. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. I'm gonna keep feeding y'all. I promise. I'm gonna keep feeding y'all, bro. I'm gonna keep feeding y'all. Y'all give me that energy, I'm gonna give that energy right back. You're already seeing it. I'm already feeling it, so I got no doubt. Whatever that light goal is, just blow that mug out the water. Share the video with your friends. Send it to your girl and tell her to start making beats. Share it with your dog. Get your dog an iPad and let that nigga play it too. You know what I'm saying? Put the whole fam on the videos, bro, because we going up. And not too much more. Stay happy, stay healthy, always be creating. Just make sure it is dope content only, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.